So you talked a little bit about some of your favorite PhoneGap apps. Abe, I wonder if you or any of the other panelists, frankly, have sort of a poster child HTML5 app that you wish we all knew existed that would just sort of blow our minds. It's just, scrolling like butter, amazing visual effects. What would you point to that would really sort of tell that tale?
So off the top of my head, if you have a tablet, if you go to NewYorkTimes.com over the mobile web, that application I think is leading edge. I definitely think that's a
New York Times. It's a small newspaper in the East Coast.
just a little tiny company out.
It's the San Francisco Chronicle of the East.
The Fremont Argus, if you will.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So Zero is another company that, again, they recently received some investment. Very nice implementation. They wrap their application using PhoneGap to actually deliver it, not only through the app stores for Apple, but also for Android, and they have access to it over the mobile web there as well. So those are probably two great examples. If you go to our demo page, we have an app called the Watch List that we created. It has Facebook social integration. You can see all the movies that are coming up, what friends have seen it and liked it, or want to see it. I think that's a very nice implementation as well. And there's other apps that are out there that I'm under NDA that I can't share, but there's more.
And Jeff, I wonder if you could just point us just to give you an opportunity, what are some of your favorite examples of Titanium apps that just sort of blow our minds at the technical achievement?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorites right now for the tablet is a magazine app called Ask Men. That's pretty amazing. It's a pretty cool experience as far as an in-app magazine experience where the objects are fairly inanimate in the magazine itself, and you can do all kinds of rotations and pretty cool things like that. And it's just very well done. Of course, my favorite probably is NBC. If you ever watched The Office on the NBC iPad or any of the other experiences, that's built in Titanium, and or Zipcar, if you've ever unlocked your car with a Zipcar, that's all Titanium across all the devices. GameStop's a pretty cool app as well. If you ever if you're a gamer and you actually do anything in GameStop, so there's tons of apps. Of course, these are more native apps than they are an HTML5 app, but those are my favorite.
So we've talked a lot about kind of the client side of the web, but mobile devices a lot of the time are on these crappy cell networks. Are you seeing any interesting things happen on the server side? We've got kind of the Node.js world, and I'd be interested in any thoughts on if you think that's going to be a big deal. But then on the other side of actually using WebSockets or MQTT and these different things to really optimize the experience. Are you guys seeing anything in any of the apps that you've seen built?
Well, we are, because we obviously have built a Node.js PaaS and pretty big cloud offering around that and support WebSockets and as well as a mobile backend as a service set of services, and so we're a big believer in that, programming both on JavaScript on the front end and JavaScript in the server, and so that sort of seamless deployment and development and testing and things like that. So we think there's a huge opportunity there, and a lot of customers, even in enterprise environments, we've been pretty surprised as we go into enterprise environments, and they like this ability to more rapidly build services that even connect to legacy systems, even Java middleware type systems. And so that's just because JavaScript as a language ends up being ubiquitous on both the front end and the back end with mobility. So.
Yeah, and at Sencha, I think one of the things that became pretty popular was TinySource. I think that was an acquisition that we made, which allowed you to upload a high-resolution image, and it would deliver a scaled-down version or a low-res version, depending on the device and its capabilities, as well as the network connection that it's on. And it's actually been quite popular. We do tens of thousands of requests per second off of that. And I think with the kind of solutions that we're coming up with and Jeff's company as well, is we're always trying to push the edge of what can be done. And I think that how you go about optimizing that experience to get that extra edge out of the user experience, whether it's downloading an image faster or having the code experience to be easier to use, I think we're all focused on that. So, but TinySource is one of my favorites.
That many images. I'm curious what kind of images people are uploading to that service.
User-generated.
User-generated.
General portrait.
So, I have another question. So going back to the questions on Twitter, there was one that sort of got me thinking a little bit about this Apple Maps debacle. Because, Apple Maps came out, and for many people, it really stank. And Google has maps available on the web, but for many people, the feeling was there's not really a good alternative to Apple Maps. They didn't even really view the Google web app as much of an alternative. And then, as you play with that web app, I was just sort of tinkering with it here. It's really bad in terms of the user design, the interface design of things. Why do you suppose, why are web apps sort of doomed to have this sort of second-class experience? Do you think, Abe, they should have just used Sencha? Or
No, I do think that it's probably, resource allocation. And if they had, Google has tremendous engineers there, and if they wanted to make, Google Maps awesome on the web, they did it, back in in 2005 or whenever, when I got all excited around Ajax. So I think it's just a matter of resource allocation. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, I use Google Maps to find stuff, and then I use Apple Maps for navigation. It's kind of funny.
So looking to the future a little bit, we think we went from the Palm Trio to the iPhone, a little bit of a leap in experience there. You could call it a revolution. And now the iPhone 5 comes out compared to the iPhone 4, and it's a little bit bigger. That's nice. It's got a few features, but it's not quite the same leap. And these devices have all these sensors, they have all this stuff. Are we kind of done with the revolution side, and now it's just going to be kind of little iterations and an evolution? Or are they going to be, do you see kind of massive new opportunities coming into the mobile space that these guys can kind of take advantage of?
I think in the next few years we'll have a phone that will last an entire day.
And then you can make phone calls on it. Actually, that's a network problem, I guess. I'm really excited about the other devices that I think are coming. We just did a deal recently we announced with Denso, which is a tier 1 auto manufacturer, supplier of auto parts and infotainment systems to cars, for the connected car, 2015-16 connected cars. And so I think television, surfaces, glasses. I just bought Oakley ski goggles that are Android powered a few weeks ago, and ski with them in Tahoe during Thanksgiving. And sort of definitely a very first generation experience. So the goggles have an Android-based heads-up display, and they've got about 5 or 6 sensors, temperature and speedometer and altimeter, and a number of sensors. And when you're skiing down the hill, you can actually get things like speed and how high you jump, and you can also do a trail maps and buddy tracking. So if you have multiple people on the trails, you can figure out where they're at.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And it's a pretry amazing experience. It's a very first generation experience,
How long's
right?
the battery?
But it's been great. It actually was pretty good. I got through almost half a day of skiing with it. So it was Android, right? So
Software upgrades kept popping up on the heads-up display.
So that was pretty cool. And you can sort of imagine a GoPro helmet cam and sort of this in, and sort of it automatically syncs with your iPhone. So if you get a Twitter or a text message, it'll actually show in the display. So definitely for hitting trees and filming yourself. So probably big, massive lawsuits that will probably actually prevent this from becoming really successful. But I really get excited about the Internet of Things and these connected experiences, and beyond sort of person-to-device connection, but device-to-device connection and person-to-device connections get pretty interesting in this new world of kind of interesting native experiences across lots of different devices, is where I think we're coming. So is the smartphone done with innovation? I don't think so, but I think it's the integration of other types of devices that start to get pretty exciting for me.
So I think in addition to the connected devices, which I agree with Jeff, it's really cool, and we're doing things with some of the car manufacturers and other folks, but I also think even though the platforms themselves might be slowing down a bit, the type of experiences that we can do, I think, is just at the very beginning. And when you think about things like, stadium apps or the types of experiences that we'll be able to develop, we're just at the beginning, and there's going to be some really cool stuff.
Is there a lot of exuberance at eBay sort of around the tablet? I remember when the tablet first came out at Walmart, there's just like, it's a brave new world, and people were just so excited about it. Is that sort of the feeling right now in your shop, that there's this canvas that we can play on, or is it starting to be viewed more as a chore to have to support this platform and this platform and this platform?
Again, we might be lucky because, we have a pretty big commitment as a company to invest in mobile, and, right now we lump tablets into that world. So, it's not viewed as a chore. I think we're pretty excited about it. I mean, the bigger questions for us are, things like, at some point, do you have a desktop experience and a tablet browser experience, or are they the same? And, those are the kind of things we'll have to grapple with at some point. And, that gets really interesting when you have, legacy services that have been built up over years that you're relying on, and how soon can you get those over into the new stack?
We know nothing about that at Walmart.
Yeah, I'll bet you don't.
And then on the Android tablet side, is this the year that as an industry we take Android tablets seriously and target them for high-end experiences, or do you see that as sort of a ways out? David's sort of nodding no over there.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, right now we're doing our 2013 planning, and one of the big questions is, do we spin up an Android team like we have an iPad team right now, an Android tablet team? So for us, it's getting close.
David, why do you have such a strong opinion?
Oh, they're just awful.
No other reason.
After playing with, even with, I think it was BlackBerry 6 when they first came out with the, was it the Streak or
Playbook.
Oh, the Playbook.
The Playbook.
And there were already, I think, 3 or 4 Android tablets on the market, and I thought Android's just gonna disappear into nothingness and BlackBerry's coming back, and I was like way wrong. But the experience is far worse on an Android tablet than any other device maker out there. I mean, Surface is awesome. I'm one of the biggest Apple fanboys, designer, Microsoft hater, and I have a Surface. I'm playing with Windows 8 a ton. I think it's phenomenal what they've done.
Yeah. David was actually in an Apple commercial.
Yeah.
Were you really? And then the Nexus 7, have you played with the Nexus 7? Has that changed your view at all, or?
So it made me want a smaller iPad when I played with it. I was like, this feels like a nice weight. I like the rubber back, but the system's still pretty bad. But I do think Android 4 was the first significant step they've taken. I think 4.1 was a nice step above that. And I think they're on the right path now. I think it's, we'll see in about a year, I think.
I mean, what do you think? Some people are quoting that, Apple's slower at getting their services right than Google is at getting their design right. And so Google's catching up quicker and quicker. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think they all have their strengths and weaknesses, but I don't know if there's going to be some convergence or, we'll see.